He is Mike Holmgren here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing great, Rich. How's it going?
Are you going to be the latest local to tell me it's never this cold here this time of year? It's crazy. What's going on out there?
Cold. I just flew home from Philadelphia last night, and it was chilly in Philadelphia, but I don't think Seattle has to take a backseat to anybody except Chicago. I understand it's going to be the coldest game ever for the Packers and the Bears on Sunday.
Oh my word! That's well. Hard. You would know about that. You'd know about that series, obviously.
You know what? I don't know how they. Sometimes I would stand there and I don't know how the players function. I really didn't because I was colder than anybody in the stadium.
Yeah, we were in Kansas City last week. It was brutal there too, and supposed to be sub-freezing temperatures tonight for the Seahawks and the Rams. What should we make of that Seahawks loss in Green Bay? 5 interceptions by Russell Wilson, and then obviously the way Aaron Rodgers performed against that defense that's missing Earl Thomas. What should we take out of that for the Seahawks?
Well, I think it was a horrible game, and it was probably Russell's poorest game as a quarterback. But he'll bounce back. He is as focused a young man as I've ever seen or been around, and he's a really good player, Rich. And he doesn't have games like that, but he had one, so he's human. But they'll bounce back, and then their defense is still very, very good, even without Earl. But they did get knocked around a little bit in the game. What the season shows is that they haven't been as great on the road, clearly, as they haven't lost a game at home, but they've lost 4 games in the tie on the road. So that's made a big difference. They've got to overcome that, clearly, if they go to the playoffs. And they will go to the playoffs.
Well, this division is essentially sewn up. They just need one more win, and this thing, right. this baby's wrapped up. The question is, what will they do for a 2 seed? You got the Lions sitting there, obviously, just a half game in front of them. How much of a loss is Earl Thomas in the long run? Is this something that you think could keep them from the Super Bowl?
Well, you know what? I look at it more emotionally than structurally. I think Stephen Terrell, who is their free safety now, from all indications, he does what he's supposed to do. He's smart. He's not out of position, and he plays the free safety position very well. That's the reports I'm getting from the Seahawks. But Earl was such a whirling dervish, so to speak. I mean, he was emotional, and the guys fed off him. So I think if there's any loss, it'll be there. But I think the NFC, honestly, Rich, I think it's open for the taking for somebody. I think the Seahawks have as good a chance as anybody. And Dallas, Dallas is walking away with it a little bit, but then they came back to earth last week as well.
And in terms of that, I mean, Jerry Jones had an opportunity once again on his local radio show in Dallas to shut the door on Romo being a guy that they turn to for a spark, if not maybe for, just like the Broncos did last year, Coach, to turn to the veteran hand and sit the rookie down and say, thanks for getting us in this position, but the veteran's going to take us home to the promised land. And he did not shut that door. He kept his foot in the door. What do you think Jason Garrett thinks when he hears that?
Well, Jason's used to that. I think I know Jerry pretty well, and Jason knows him better than anybody. And so he's been the coach there a long time, so he's used to that. But I said this early in the year, Rich. I think that if Tony comes back and can play, which he can now, physically he can, then the playoffs, that's a different animal, as is the Super Bowl. There's 3 seasons, the regular season, playoffs, and everyone ratchets their game up a little bit, and it's different. I think who starts the playoff games for Dallas will be determined by the last 3 games of the year.
No kidding.
If they do well, I think if they do well, then it's going to be Prescott. If they stumble around and don't look, there is a chance now Tony will be inserted, I think, into a playoff situation. Now, is it a little weird? Yeah, but look at nothing surprises me when it comes to Jerry, and I say that affectionately because we're friends, but that could happen.
And then tonight, you've got the L.A. Rams, and we all know what's happened with them. And the head coaching gig is available. Now, Coach, I know that your phone rang or when the 49ers was had an open job, or you had an open mind to maybe come out of the booth and do that, would you take a phone call from the Rams for that game?
You know what? I'd take a phone call and listen, but I don't think it's going to happen. Not just as you and I probably talked, Rich. The 49ers essentially said I was too old. So, it was probably something I needed to hear. And I've kind of moved on now. And I had when you quit coaching after so long, you go through that awkward kind of floating stage where you're not sure and you still want to come back and you're flattered by people asking you and all that kind of stuff. But I think I've cut the cord that way, and I'm really liking what I'm doing now, and we're doing a lot of stuff in our church and a lot of stuff in Seattle. And so, yeah, I'd talk to somebody, but it's not going to happen really realistically. But, it's kind of nice to be wanted, but I think my coaching days, are pretty much over.
So what do you think about Goff, though, as a viable franchise quarterback? Because whoever is offered that job, or whoever does get the call from Kevin Demoff and Stan Kroenke, is going to have to believe in this kid. They're not going to turn away from him with how much they gave up to go get him.
No, and I think they should believe in him. I really liked him when I watched. I didn't study him like I would have had I still been coaching. But the times I saw him play in college, and he started for 3 years in college, and he played against good people, strong teams. He's the right size. He's all that kind of stuff. And I still think he's going to be fine. What surprised me was that they didn't do what they're doing now sooner. You drafted a guy first in the draft, and you're saying, at some point you're the starter. And I've always believed that a young guy, if you could protect him a little bit and not let him get killed back there, he will learn much faster playing. And if you're going to lose a game and he throws a couple interceptions early, okay. But they lost games. I mean, I think they should have started him sooner. If they were going to eventually start him with 4 games, 6 games left in the regular season, if that was their plan, why set that number? Start him sooner, Mm-hmm. And to say he wasn't ready, well, I kind of lay that. It's my job to get him ready. If I'm going to draft him, it's my job, not the kids. It's my job to get him ready, and I'm not sure that I agree with how that was done.
Mike Holmgren here on the Rich Eisen Show. Last one for you. I want to ask you our poll question today, Coach. It's about what went down with Wake Forest, where remarkably, you've heard this story. Brockman, do you want to read Coach Holmgren the poll question right here?
Yeah, Coach, if you received stolen game plans like Louisville did, what would you do? Would you blow the whistle, use them, or do nothing?
I probably wouldn't blow the whistle, and I probably wouldn't use them. I only came close to something like that one time, and that's when I was in Green Bay, and a fan, before we played the 49ers, a fan had phoned and found a sheet of paper, she said, and everyone in Green Bay is a fan. So she found the sheet of paper, phoned the office. I'm at a hotel someplace, and it's the first 15 of plays of the 49ers. And every coach that's ever had that happen to them, and that's happened, they find stuff in locker rooms. It's happened that they think it's a setup, that this is a false deal, and you just tear it up and don't pay any attention to it. So I said, forget about it. And they said, no, it's got it right here. So I said, well, I don't want to deal with it. I said that, don't deal with it. So he said, well, can I give it to the defensive coaches? Because it was the 49ers offense. I said, I don't want to deal with it. So somehow they got the play. We got the plays, and I think it's a fake. And I told Fritz Shermer, who was our defensive coordinator at the time, the game starts, I said, if they start with these 3 plays, those are the plays that are on the list, because I knew it was my offense. It was the same offense I called. And they started with the first 3 plays. I said, Fritz, it's the first 3 plays. And we didn't steal it or do anything. It was left in someplace, in a hotel. And so, but this situation, I don't know the details, Rich. You tell me. I don't know the details on how the information got and who it got to and all that kind of stuff.
Well, apparently the announcer, former quarterback and coach, called up the offensive coordinator of Louisville, who he knows, and said, I've got stuff for you. And that is the way it got to Louisville. And but it's interesting that you say that you would not blow the whistle. You'd probably just do nothing.
Well, if one of my players, if I was receiving the information,
yes,
I think I'd just say, I don't want to have it. We're not doing it that way. Tear it up, throw it away, and then let whoever wants to do an investigation, whoever is involved in that, do it. I'm not a big whistleblower person, I don't think. But until you're in that situation, you can't ever be sure. But that's a shameful thing. If the details are what I read in the paper, shame on him. He shouldn't have done that, and I don't know why he did it. I mean, has anything come out as to motive?
No, not yet. No motivation. We don't know it yet. No.
Yeah, but no, that's horrible. And obviously he's feeling the ramifications now because I believe he was fired and all those things. So,
indeed,
and I don't know if he used to work on that staff, I think, didn't he?
He did. But then a new coach came in. Clowney came in and changed. But well, look. Yeah. Anyway, Coach, enjoy tonight's game. I'd love having you on. Let's get you on sooner than just several months.
Take
okay.
Care.
You bet. That's Mike Holmgren.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.